Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MTG Goldfish Podcast, episode 143, your weekly podcast covering everything Magic the Gathering related. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, mtggoldfish.com, and now on YouTube. Joining, as always, the crew, Richard, the owner of MTG Goldfish. What is up, Richard?
Hey, guys, what's going on?
How's it going, Richard? Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, our resident jank brewer and all-around content creator. What is up, Seth?
Not much, guys. How you doing this week?
Not much. Doing well. We are in a fight to the death in fantasy this week, that's for sure. Really awesome. Chaz, as always, content creator focusing on the financial aspect of the game and all-around Magic the Gathering. On the docket for this week, we have Worlds. Talk about the metagame, the top four. Congrats to William Huey Jensen for taking it down. Huge congrats. It was really great Magic played. And we'll talk about it. The production value, the commentary, and, you know, we'll just kind of wrap this all up in kind of a general Worlds thing. The thoughts on Worlds versus Pro Tour for debuting a new set, how that schedule kind of plays out, what's working, what's not working. Magic Arena came up, and a new logo. So, and if we have time, they announced a Commander B&R restricted announcement. So we'll just briefly touch upon that, and Fishmail. So a lot to talk about. Let's just dive right in. Everything Worlds, but let's talk about the metagame and the top four. Richard, take it away. What do you think?
I did not like Worlds. If Huey Jensen didn't go on a tear and create a storyline, I think this would have been one of the worst tournaments I've ever seen. Oh, the metagame. So the metagame was basically Ramunap Red versus Temur Energy and some random blue-black control thrown in there. Search for Azcanta was kind of the breakout card for control. The other decks just looked like the other decks before the new set. And so the metagame itself was not too interesting. There was nothing new. All the pros just played the good stuff. Limited was quite boring. What I found funny was when they asked the pros what the keys to the format were, they were saying things like, don't be afraid to play cards you would never play otherwise. You know, not every card has to be like a home run. Like, they were just basically saying the power level is really low and it's all combat tricks. It's all hyper aggressive decks. And I just felt day one and day two of Worlds was incredibly boring. And then day three was the best tournament Magic I've ever seen. The matches were really good. The games were really good. And the storyline was really good with Huey Jensen winning in his hometown with his parents present. So I don't know. I was pretty down about Worlds after day one and two. But day three salvaged it a bit for me. So what did you guys think?
Seth?
So I have a lot of the same feelings that Richard does, actually. I guess... And I think it might be my fault. I think I maybe had unrealistic expectations with this being kind of hyped as the first tournament of Ixalan. I think in my mind, and we actually kind of talked about this on day one, we were like, oh, we should probably cover this and do round by round updates like a Pro Tour. And then we realized that Worlds is very different than a Pro Tour as far as what's actually happening. And you don't have the weird first round decks where people are playing the spicy things and they probably get crushed, but at least it's cool that you get to see new perspectives on camera or whatever. Like, there was none of that. So I think it just felt like such a spiky tournament that it almost feels like a tournament that's for the pros and by the pros, essentially. Like, if you want to see the highest level Magic played very technically well, Worlds is great, but there just wasn't enough spice to really keep me enthralled and entertained throughout the weekend. So, but like I said, I think that was maybe my expectations of Worlds being not in the right place and expecting something that I probably shouldn't have been expecting.
Yeah, we kind of met in the middle, and I think Richard and I were discussing last week. Like, I was kind of, you know, hopefully we see something spicy. Richard was saying, you know, if we're going to see anything, we're going to see it at Worlds. So it kind of, we met in the, Worlds kind of met in the middle for us, and here it is. Like, this is what people felt confident in bringing to this standard format. Is it indicative of things going forward? I think a little bit. I mean, we still have some time in between now and Pro Tour that it's, you know, now that Pro Tour is pushed back. But I think still largely, like, Energy and Red are very safe decks to play, and it was obvious. I mean, there was 10 energy lists, like 10 red lists and a couple control decks. And I don't know. I mean, there was like 4 different deck lists. I believe it was Shada, Yasuka. I'm probably butchering his name, but yeah, Shada. Brought Grixis control, so there was like legitimately 4 decks. You had blue, black, Grixis, red, and energy. Is that like not?
Grixis is basically blue, black.
Okay,
you can't count Shota because Shota just brings Grixis cards he likes every pro tournament. Like you can't really count him as his own archetype.
All right. Even though he's a very great player, you almost
he's
could.
One of the best control players in the world.
So you almost could, but yeah, energy and red is still going to continue to be great. So I wasn't too upset with it, but I think in terms of coverage, Seth, like for the third party, or the second party rather, because you have the Wizards coverage, and then you have everyone else kind of giving their own takes and coverage. Like when the deck lists are posted after the first round of Standard, and basically it's like 4 or 3 deck lists, like what is there really to say? So
yeah,
I guess from that perspective, it was kind of a letdown, but there was still a lot of great Magic to be played.
You nailed it right there. The 5th round, so after 1 round of Standard, they posted all 24 deck lists, and after slogging through miserable draft, for me at least, when they posted those deck lists, they took out all the wind in their sails, right? There was nothing to look forward to anymore. You saw immediately that it was a 3-deck meta game. There were like barely any new Ixalan cards. There's nothing to look forward to anymore, and kind of just zoned out at that point, and you basically just wanted to watch Huey Jensen see if you can go 7-0 on day 1 and run the tables in Swiss. So posting the deck list too early, I think, was a big problem.
I agree. I mean, again, it kind of took out a lot of the excitement, but I mean, great Magic was played. I don't know if... So this is like kind of what we talked about. I think you still want Pro Tour before anything. When it comes to showcasing new cards in a new set. I kind of feel like you have the Pro Tour where it's just more people. There's more storylines. There's a chance for more kind of these wacky takes on deck lists or something new. And then Worlds is kind of like the very keyed in, very, small but fierce kind of gameplay where you might only have the 3 deck lists or something like that. I think you have to kind of set Pro Tour first.
Yeah, I think the problem is when you only have 24 of the literal best players in the whole world for the season, they're all going to play the best deck. But when you have 300 or 400, including a bunch of PTQ winners and GP qualifiers, you're going to have some people that play bad decks. And those are the decks that people in the early rounds actually really want to see. Like, that's part of the excitement. Like, yeah, new perspectives completely scrubbed out, but it was really sweet and it generated a lot of hype to see something different. So I think that it just made Ixalan look really bad. Like, I think that's the biggest problem with World Championship. There were, if you discount Lightning Strike, like 2.5 cards from Ixalan that saw any meaningful play. Like Vraska's Contempt, Search for Iskanta, and there's one other one that I'm not thinking of in the Goblin deck. Maybe the one-drop Pirate.
Rigger. But that was not even, that was like the biggest splash. Like that, I think that had its own segment that someone was bringing in, like Treasure Red. And I was like, oh, this seems interesting. And then I saw the deck list. I'm like, there's literally 4 cards with Treasure. Like, it's literally
it was
the
Ramunap Red
with 4 Riggers. And I was like, okay, that's, I guess, pretty cool. But I mean, you're absolutely right.
Opt. Shoda played Opt.
Yeah, Opt was okay, but you're right. I mean, you have the top 10 cards literally right on the site, not a single Ixalan card other than Lightning Strike. So,
and remember, this is a rotation, right? This wasn't Ixalan was a small set release. We just rotated Standard, and Ixalan couldn't make a big impact. So, not the storyline Wizards wants to portray there.
Yeah, and energy showing that it's just a very degenerative ability. Like it's a crazy alternative cost, and it's a very overpowered 2-set block in a now very condensed Standard.
I mean, I'm definitely to the point where I'm ready to say that energy was just too pushed. Like, I think at this point, energy just in general was maybe not making energy was a mistake, but Wizards definitely pushed it a bit too far and made it a bit too good, I think, is pretty clear now. The thing that concerned me most wasn't so much the 3-deck meta. Like, looking back on it, that makes sense for this event, that there's so much on the line as far as Magic tournaments are concerned, you're going to do your best to win no matter what, but I think the thing that concerned me was just hearing some of the interviews and hearing the pros be like, oh yeah, we tested like so many sweet decks, we tested tokens, we tested these crazy decks, but nothing can beat like Hazoret and Ramanan Predator, nothing can beat energy, so it didn't give me a lot of faith that we're going to see a big shakeup come Pro Tour time a month from now. Not because of the meta, but because of what the pros were saying about their testing experience for this event. It's not like they just looked at the Moto results and were like, oh, okay, Team Energy's good, I'll play that. They actually worked really hard to beat these decks and couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, and you're probably right. Another few more weeks isn't going to suddenly unearth anything new. But it's not all about, yes, Energy is a great deck, but, I mean, still looking at the top cards, there's a lot of Amonkhet cards, too. So those two sets are working well together, and I think it's just we lost so many cards and only replaced them with one set of Ixalan in a set that is kind of really reliant on tribes and everything working together and having all this synergy. Just having the one set is showing itself. And we talked about this, Seth, like, yeah, we're going to see some of the one-off cards, basically just Lightning Strike. You have a couple other cards. Hash's Taker was actually missing from this tournament. But you had a couple other cards here and there. And that's pretty much going to be it when, it just doesn't have enough in one set to, kind of expand on. I don't know. I mean, I guess, that's just what happens when you have Worlds, right? A couple weeks after the set releases. I understand that the pros have some time to brew this, but...
So, I mean, I think my advice to Wizards would definitely be, when this comes around next year, just do the Pro Tour first. I think so, I don't think you want Worlds to be first. I think it would be better to have Worlds be a month from now and have the Pro Tour be the first tournament when the meta is still somewhat up in the air, at least a little bit. So I think that was maybe a mistake. I don't think it was wrong for Wizards to try something new. I think it's good that they're trying things, but I think now that we saw how it kind of worked with Worlds coming before the Pro Tour, I don't think it's really ideal. It's not a good way of showing off the new set.
Fair. Any thoughts on commentary, production? The main thing that I took away was I thought it was overall very great. The two things was, the printing the deck list. I mean, I understand it's fine. They want content to have out there, and printing the deck list for people to see. It was a smaller tournament, so probably it was okay to do that. Just made it a little boring for the rest of us covering it. But the glare was actually a really big problem for me at points. I literally could not see any of the cards. And if I didn't already know what the cards were for them talking in, for the commentary, you would barely have any idea what's going on. They need to fix that.
Yeah, day one glare was ridiculous. We went like 5 years back in coverage or something. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, there's some glare and it's annoying. You literally could not see anything. The card was just like a white spot of light. They fixed it for day two.
They did.
But I don't know why this continues to be a problem, given that there are 24 players. You can just literally have one guy re-sleeve all of their decks for them in whatever deck sleeves you need to not glare. So that was a bit strange. What do you guys think of the Gummy Bear trophy?
I'm not a fan of the trophy personally.
It looks like a big piece of candy. Why?
Yeah,
it's better
just
than
goofy.
the clay art class one for Pro Tour, but still not what I expect from the World Championships. Super Bowl, Stanley Cup, and then Gummy Bear Planeswalker symbol.
The glare was an embarrassment. Like, I almost can't believe that they let it happen. Like, we've talked about this for 2 years now or something, the glare being issues at Pro Tour tournaments, and with this being such a small tournament and them really putting effort into the production value, you could tell, like, they had music in the background, whether that was the right music choice or not. Like, you could tell they were doing things they've never done before to try to make coverage as good as possible. And just to miss, like, such an obvious, just, like, must-nail type thing was pretty bad. I was actually kind of embarrassed. Because didn't you tell me, Richard, there was another big championship happening this weekend for a game? But
yeah, League of Legends Worlds was happening during the same weekend.
Could you imagine that happening in League of Legends or at a Hearthstone championship? Like, I know it's different, it's digital, but there's like this minimum production quality. So I don't know. I was actually embarrassed on day one. I definitely give Wizards credit for fixing it on day two, but I still can't believe they let it happen to begin with on this tournament that they put so much money and effort into by Magic standards.
Yeah, I think the thing with the trophy for me, I mean, that's not something like I guess it's not that great, but it's fine. It's more about, like, what do they feel about it? Like, if they started coming out and saying, they're the ones that need to say something. They're the ones that are winning the thing. So, if they come out and say, like, hey, listen, like, you're gonna up the production value on, like, up the quality on some of these trophies, then I think they would do it. But
I mean,
saying
it just looks unprofessional,
like,
right? Like,
it does, but
the other thing that really got to me was the overemphasis on the $100,000 winnings. Like, they would always, every 5 minutes there's a slide of the winnings, and they would emphasize about first place winning $100,000 and it being a life-changing amount. And I'm just like, it's just so amateur at, like, Worlds is going on here with, like, I don't know, $8-10 million prize pool. Here we are at 100,000, and we keep talking about it like every 3 seconds. Like, we should be talking about the prestige of being the best Magic player in the world or something, and not emphasizing, basically pocket change for, when you compare it to the rest of esports. So I felt like drawing attention to it was a bit weird, and they should have just summed up the whole prize pool to make the number look bigger. Like, $500,000 of total prizes or whatever the actual amount is, rather than just saying 100,000 at first place, because you have all these other esports tournaments that are giving out multiples of millions in prizes, and then here you are, stroking your back with the $100,000, and I just felt the emphasis was in the wrong place. You should be emphasizing the best Magic player in the world rather than, this prize.
Yeah. At the same point, they're not anywhere near those other games in terms of, like, I get it, but they have to kind of emphasize something, right? I mean, if we're now at a point where this is a lot in terms of before, then I get that. But, comparing now this to the top of, like, the pinnacle of esports games, like, there's such a huge gap there.
I kind of just wish they paid him in treasure chests. That would have been sweet. Like, you get 100,000 treasure chests or something on Dodo.
I bet you if WotC just started a Kickstarter for first place prize at Worlds, it would far surpass 100,000.
That's probably true. I mean, I think John Avon just hit almost $500,000 with his $6,000 was his goal for his playmats, and it ended up at least over 400, and it might have hit 500,000.
Yeah, they should sell, like, special edition World Championship playmats with some, like, custom art, and then have 25% of the proceeds go to the World Championship, and then
that might actually. I think you're onto something there.
I mean, that's what other games do with their digital assets. We can sell sleeves and playmats.
Yeah, it's like have it something like a BlizzCon ticket, something like that. Start selling, like, digital tickets. You get chat privileges or whatever. You get these little icons for the chat. You get, like, this care package that's sent to, whatever, for your Magic Arena account. Yep. Maybe they should start doing that. I think, actually, that'd be a really good idea.
I will say, before it sounds too doom and gloom, I actually thought their coverage was very good. Like, yeah. I didn't like the glare, but I thought that it looked good. The announcers were good. And I feel like coverage has come a long way. So if you just discount the glare for a minute, I was pretty impressed with how they handled coverage this weekend.
They've been really good. I can't... we've been doing the podcast for so long. I really can't remember a specific point where it was... maybe a year ago now, maybe half a year, close to a year, that it really started to trend in the right direction. I think it honestly was when they signed LSV to be kind of a focal point of this coverage, because it's been incredible since then.
Yeah, I think Maria on the desk is really solid. I really
Maria
like
too.
Riley Knight now. When he first came up, sometimes he got a little annoying, but I think he's found the sweet spot. Like, I love his calls, like Lando Calrissian off the top. It's like hilarious. The top eight was getting awkward. Like, I think when you have Cheon, LSV, and Marshall in the booth, they're like such good friends that it gets super awkward. Like, so when Josh Utter-Layton, he took a swift exit from the top four, and his mom had flown in overnight to watch him. And LSV just said, I wonder if she can get a refund for her flight.
Oh.
And it was just so savage. And they're best friends, so he doesn't mean harm by it. But at the same time, it was just like so unprofessional, right? Like you shouldn't bring kind of that friendship onto the stage. And same with Marshall just blatantly cheering for Huey. As a commentator, you got to be neutral. If you were a fan of Javier Dominguez, that'd be super annoying, right? So they need to tone back kind of the in-crowd bit of it. But other than that, I think one of the best commentary we've had for any event, actually. So they've gotten really good at commentary, and unfortunate that LSV is going back to being a player next year, so I don't know who's going to fill his shoes.
I think Riley, Amaz, Cheon, Maria, I think, and Marshall, I think they're all really gelling well together. So, yeah, it's going to be unfortunate. LSV just kind of brought this perspective and, this kind of factor to the coverage that I don't think can quite be replaced, but the rest of the coverage team I feel is really meshing well together.
What did y'all think of the music?
The drums?
I think it got annoying at times. Well, I don't think it was so much the music that bothered me. It was just that, like, it was playing while people were talking, so it was like, just kind of dull it down while people are talking, because it was almost like, I don't know. I didn't like it at points, but didn't mind it for most of the time.
Yeah, I think they could have used a little bit more discretion, I guess, on when they were using it. I know for me it felt overly dramatic when they were sitting down to their first draft. No one's won a game yet, and it's this like just super dramatic, tense music. I'm like, but I'm glad they tried it. Like, it does. The goal was to add to coverage, and I think they can build off this and hopefully improve. I think having background music at points at least, can add a lot to the coverage, and hopefully they kind of dial it in a little bit more and use it at the right spots next time.
Yep. All right, Magic Arena.
So this one's for Seth, I guess. We saw full control mode. So they played two games. We saw from Cheon, who was just playing it normally, and then we saw from Marshall's perspective, where he went full control. So we got to see that. We got to see searching through the library for conquistadors. We got to see scrying. What else did we see? We saw a lot of stuff on the battlefield. There were like tons of creatures and tokens. So that was kind of the new stuff that we saw from Magic Arena. What do you guys think?
I'm more all in than as all in I can be. I think this is going to be amazing. I know that actually they started sending out emails saying that the first kind of big wave of beta testers are going to be invited in November, early November, something like that.
Yes.
So
November, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone started getting those emails over the weekend, which I think was actually really awesome to do that during the event, to kind of get people re-hyped about Arena and, kind of give a timetable of when people can actually get their hands on this. And, I just got to say, I think this is going to be a really great thing for the game. And I don't know if you watched the little short segment of Marrow talking about, what they envision this to be and kind of how they want it. They're treating Arena, using Mark Rosewater's words here, they're treating Arena as the digital future of the game. And those are kind of his words.
So I have to say, it did alleviate some of my concerns about actually being able to play Magic. So that is the good news. We did see the library getting searched. We saw real Magic-y things happening. So that's good. I will say that the stream also, they gotta tone down the animations a bit. That's the thing I'm stuck on right now is I swear to God, the game took twice as long as it would have taken if they played on Moto, because every common they play has to have things shooting around before it goes on the stack. If you look at Hearthstone, they have animations, but it's not every single card that's like taking 5 seconds to resolve because you got to have little lightning bolts shooting around. So if I get into the beta, that's the thing that I will definitely be
I'm pretty sure it was slow because Marshall was in full control mode.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
he had to like click 6 times to go through his turn, where Cheon just pressed the button, he was done. So I think it was Marshall slowing down the game.
And I think I think it was just in building off what you're saying, Richard, not to cut you off, that they're showing full control mode, kind of. They want to really slow it down.
Yeah, what was promising is, so Marshall sounds like he's like Reed Duke, who puts a stop on like every single possible thing in Moto. And he did this kind of same thing for Arena, and he came away with a positive impression that he was in full control and he did everything that he wanted to do. So that's the promising sign for hardcore Moto users. Like, if you want, you can put a stop everywhere and do everything manually and click all your lands and whatnot. So he gave it the thumbs up. He's also a contractor for WotC, so you gotta take that with a grain of salt, but I think he was genuinely okay with how it actually played as a hardcore, Moto user.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that I definitely liked about it. It did seem like you could play real Magic with it. So that's definitely encouraging, and hopefully the other stuff can be worked on. But I think, like, if full control mode is going to be an option, and it has to be an option, then you're going to run into those players, like, some meaningful percentage of the time. So that if the goal is to be super fast like Hearthstone, doesn't even having full control mode, like, take away from that? Like, they were saying, oh, we don't want to disable animations because if your opponent has animations on, you got to sit through it anyway. But if your opponent has full control mode, it still, like, slows down the game to Moto pace and takes away from that, like, ooh, we're this super fast streaming game like Hearthstone. So I don't know. I mean, I think you have to have full control mode, but I'm wondering, like, how that'll actually work out in practice.
Yeah, it's going to come down to tuning the timer, because even in Moto, you have that person that always uses all of their clock, like, Tomer. No matter what you do, the game is going to end with them at 5 minutes, so it's all slowing down. So if you put the clock short enough, it forces people to speed up. So they have to get that turn timer at the right amount to, make it so you can actually play at, the non-slow play pace, whatever that is for Magic Arena.
I think overall I was pretty impressed with it. As the biggest Arena skeptic of our group, I was pretty happy with how it looked. It looked playable, and I don't think I've said that before.
That's good. You're slowly coming around, I think.
Yeah,
I'm getting there.
Gameplay wise, I have no worries. The big question for me is your collection and how you acquire cards and things like that. But in terms of actually playing a game of Magic when you have 2 decks, it looks great. I think that won't be a problem whatsoever.
I think especially you, Seth, and for people that I know it's hard, that's like you've been playing MTG all this whole time, that they're giving reasons to kind of and incentives to at least try this out, and I think they're going to do a really good job with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still holding my breath on pricing, on card acquisition. I heard the rumor going around that there's not even a crafting system, and that it's going to be like Magic Duels, potentially, where you literally can't craft or trade for cards, so you just open packs and have to build with whatever you open. That's like the only cards you can ever use.
Well, if that's
the case, that's going to be changed real fast.
Yeah, that would be game over for me, I think. So hopefully they at least have a crafting system or some way to get singles.
You might be the Arena skeptic, but I think we can all agree that would be a huge downfall. That would have to be changed through the beta. Like, I don't think there'd be any way around that.
You gotta open 1,000 packs to get that last Carnage Tyrant.
That's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Oh my God!
Yes. So yeah. If that's the case. But again, this is what the beta's for. And I can't wait. It's a few weeks away. So hopefully, they're giving out I saw different emails from HasCon the codes from HasCon, and now the codes from Ixalan pre-release. So, going to be getting in quite a few people.
And they're going to have streams coming up, I think another one Wednesday, and I think there's 3 live events this fall where you can actually demo. The next Pro Tour I know is one of them, and then a couple of GPs. So if you're interested in checking it out, those are options coming up.
Sounds good. Last kind of final thing, new logo. Just randomly thrown in there.
It looks...
I'm alright. I
so
don't
generic.
care. Okay
What's the point?
They kind of shifted the color scheme to like the Planeswalker symbol and kind of just left Magic the Gathering like the silver, like this kind of chrome metallic. It's whatever to me. This is not a huge thing. Everyone's kind of making a huge thing about it. I mean, it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm kind of where you are. Like, I just don't especially care. It doesn't jump off the page at me like, oh my god, that's so awesome. But I'm like, whatever.
Just
like,
show me the new cards.
Yeah.
Show me Arena and the new cards. I could care less about the
Maybe if it was
logo.
Gummy Bear colored, the part that's red on there, maybe I'd like it more. That is the trophy, right? The Gummy Bear trophy,
Yeah,
like the same image.
it's a Planeswalker symbol.
That's the Planeswalker.
And there's like it's
symbol.
literally the same thing, right? The outside of it is yellow and the inside of it is red, and it's translucent.
So you did get the Gummy Bear. So you should be good.
At the next Pro Tour or pre-release, they need to make Gummy Bear Planeswalker symbols and they give out like snack packs.
You actually like gummy bears? I haven't had gummy bears in a long time.
I haven't eaten them in years, but it's just packets of sugar. How can they be bad?
Yeah.
Moving along. Really quickly, Commander ban and restricted announcement for 1v1 on MTGO.
It's a massive announcement. So they banned Brawl Chief of Compliance, Demonic Tutor, Emrakul the Eon Storm, Enlightened Tutor, Imperial Seal, Mystical Tutor, and Vampiric Tutor. Also unbanned Yissen the Wandering Bard and Arkham Dagson.
Dead
So
format.
My question is, does this do any, like, does this make you play now? Or do people just not care about 1v1 Commander anymore?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because... problem is they really need to get this right from the start. I just don't know with everything that's going on, I think, like with Arena and everything else. I don't know. Maybe this is just me. This is like a outsider's perspective that doesn't play MTGO as much. Like, are people even still buying in this hard anyway? Like, I know you mentioned that the 1v1 Commander lists or format haven't been firing enough as it is. I don't really know if this saves it at this point because it was such like a weird debacle starting off the format that I just think people lost interest really quickly. To be fair, this is where they really got it right. Getting rid of Baral was like huge. So I think if there was any interest to play the format now, it's definitely now that Baral and all this stuff is gone because I mean, this kind of 1v1 French Commander, kind of where they got this inspiration from and kind of followed this and made this format. They didn't really have any of those tutors anyway, and I kind of liked it like that because it really just evolved around who got more tutors and who tutors first, and, you know, I get my Vampire tutor before you do, and I get my bomb before you do, and I win. So it just kind of eliminates that whole race to tutor first and allows kind of more diverse games to happen. And Baral was just, and I hate using this word, but it's like a cancer. It was so bad that, and they didn't even ban it in French Commander, and people, you know, they got rid of Emrakul, the first copy, and they're playing like Darksteel Colossus, they're playing Emrakul, the Promise End, like they'll play anything that they can as long as they have Baral and Polymorph and this stuff to be able to kind of, utilize. So getting rid of Baral was a big thing. The Commander is too good.
Yeah, I think the bannings themselves are great, but I kind of wonder if it's just too little, too late. Like, as soon as Commander Leagues came out, I played the Baral Polymorph deck, and as soon as I played like one league with that, and played against the Baral deck a bunch of times too, because that's what everyone's playing. It was pretty clear that Emrakul and Brawl probably shouldn't be in the format. So I think taking 6 months or however long it's been to get to this point actually like really hurt the chances of 1v1 Commander actually taking off on Moto, because now it's already to the point where people have the perception that it's kind of a dead format, and I don't know if this is going to reverse that, when if this had happened right away, then maybe we'd be having a different conversation now.
Yep, that's exactly right.
These bannings are kind of like the last straw for playing powerful cards. Like, when 1v1 Commander came out, it was clear you couldn't go play your janky Goblins deck or your janky Angels deck or whatever. It was a competitive format, and people were playing it. People like me were playing it because you could do crazy things. You know, you can Vampiric Tutor for a Treasure Cruise, a Dig Through Time, whatever. Like, play all these like broken cards that you couldn't play in other formats. And now they have slowly and surely banned all of these cards away. So now you just have the Singleton format that's less powerful than Legacy, and I don't know why you would play this format anymore. You can't really express yourself like casual Commander, like multiplayer Commander. It's just high variance now that you removed all the tutors, the card draw. All the broken cards are kind of gone now, and you're just left with like Singleton Legacy Light or something. So I don't know. It's just, there's no reason to play this, on top of the fact that other people are not playing it. It's like hard to get into. It just seems weird. It just seems like they were too late with these changes if they wanted this to be the metagame for their format.
Yeah. I think that's really the conclusion, because it is really fun, and it's a shame because I would still recommend playing it, especially after the changes. I just don't know what really kind of took so long, and it just kind of from the start it was a huge, like, there was one ban list for 2 formats, and it was just like so weird. So I think it kind of is a little too late, but good changes. I mean, they are really good changes, and I'm sure they listen to this podcast, because Arkham Dagson shouldn't have been on the ban list from the begin with, so they definitely listen to this podcast. That's good to know.
We're a high percentage
that?
of the total Commander 1v1 community on Moto, because there's just so few people playing. But I don't know, maybe I'll give it another shot now that it's actually been like 2 or 3 ban announcements since I've played. So it's vastly different like now.
Few,
so maybe I'll try.
Sorry. But I do know some people still kind of tweet out about it. I know like April plays it. I know like some other people definitely that are out there playing it and tweeting about it. So, you know, on social media or whatever. But maybe if, like I said, if it's anything to bring people back to the format, it's this. So if you're feeling like you're on the fence, or you just totally like, yeah, I'm not playing this anymore, I would urge you to give it a try, especially with Baral being gone. That Commander was too good. Like, you can't ban the cards around it. You just need to ban Baral. And it was obvious, because it's still going strong in French 1v1, and it's like, why didn't they just ban Baral?
I think the thing that kills me, and actually really makes the format hard to play, is it really costs on Moto almost exactly the same price as playing Vintage or Legacy. So
Yeah.
if you're someone who wants that like powerful format fix, it makes more sense probably to just like buy a tier 1 Legacy deck instead of a 1v1 Commander deck. So I think that really hurts it. I think they need to figure out a way to get the cost of the format down a little bit for it to succeed. Like, if it was a cheaper version of Vintage or Legacy that you could still get your competitive fix in, I think we'd see more people maybe going for that, thinking it's like, oh, I can still play these really busted cards, but I don't have to spend the same amount as Vintage or Legacy. But it's just in this weird spot where, and that's what always gets me personally, is I'm like, well, I could spend $500 to buy this 1v1 Commander deck, or Commander deck, or I could just buy like a Vintage deck, and which one would I get more enjoyment out of? So I don't know, maybe there's a way they can bring down the cost of the 1v1 format a little bit to make it more appealing.
Agree. And again, just to emphasize, when people are playing Synthetic Destiny, like, just to get a polymorph effect, like, you know that card needs to go. So, oh man, what a broken Commander. I think that leads us to Fishmail.
Yeah, if you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish on Twitter with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions. First question from Beely25. Moto is shut down. Modern Pro Tour is coming. Where do the pros practice? Arena? Question mark. I don't know what this is asking. I don't think they would shut down
MTG
Moto without having another place to play Modern.
Yeah. I think if Moto was shut down, Arena would be having Modern by that point.
Yeah. And in the case that this does happen, they would just practice in real life in their Pro Tour testing house.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that it's the non-pros that make the Pro Tour that really need it. That aren't on Channel Fireball or whatever. The grinder type pros.
Next question. MTG Greylon, what are your thoughts on Magic Worlds being the same weekend as League of Legends Worlds?
It's kind of like how they run the Puppy Bowl alongside the Super Bowl.
It was ambitious for sure.
I don't have anything to say, but they should have had a better name, because when you search for Worlds, Magic Worlds is not the first thing that comes up.
Nope, sure wasn't.
So we need a name that is uniquely... I guess we use MTG Champ as the hashtag. I don't know why. I guess it's World Championships. But maybe calling it Magic Champs, or I don't know.
What's funny is when I opened up Twitch and I saw Worlds, I was like, whoa, what? Magic got like a front, stream, and it was League of Legends, so I was like, oh, figures.
PJ Deichler, where is Nissa's Steward of Elements? Chaz, where did Nissa go? Our resident green mage.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I
She
guess
just
it's
doesn't-
you can't
Go ahead,
protect
sorry.
Nissa too well. I mean, it's just like while you're trying to play Nissa to have some sort of like loyalty count that it won't die immediately, like red is just destroying you. So don't know. Hope it comes back at some point.
That's what I was going to say, too. She just doesn't protect herself well enough, and there's so many attacking decks, the energy decks, Ramadan bread decks. It's really hard to play Anissa and have it live long enough to do anything right now.
Sir, not in this Phil. Subscription for Magic the Gathering Arena, I'd pay a monthly subscription fee for access to all cards.
Hey, I've said that about MTGO. I've been saying that for a long time, but I don't know if they're actually going to do that. I think it's going to be more of like a Hearthstone. Again, bearing like crazy rumors, I think it'll be very similar. But that's also an avenue too.
Yeah, I actually want to see a research paper on this. I think you make more money off whales who spend like thousands of dollars and they offset the free people than rather just averaging it out and just having everyone pay a subscription fee. But I'm sure someone's actually done a study on this and we know what the real answer is.
Yeah. Professionals have. And like even when you have, especially when you have other things other than the cards, right? You have like those $10 Hearthstone frames, like they're different characters or whatever, and they're golden. Like people legitimately spend $10 extra than they probably would have if they just had a subscription. So, I mean,
Do any similar games use a subscription model, or would this be like a unique thing?
I mean, MMOs are pretty
yeah.
much the only thing that are left that uses subscription.
But there's some there's some that use the other model as well, where it's free to play and you buy stuff. But
a lot of them have gone free to play as well, up to like a certain point or something. I don't know, but I think really only WoW still uses it. I think Final Fantasy
subscription.
Okay,
But they let you buy extra stuff with money.
okay.
But I would pay a lot of money for an Urza character placard thing.
Yeah.
When my opponent's using like Chandra, I'm like, whatevs. Like, here's my $50 Urza.
Like golden animated Urza.
Golden
like
Urza. I would totally buy that.
Yeah.
Denim Scum. Seth, Bone Picker in Blue-Black wins with Hope sacking itself. Also thoughts on Ornithopter and Tezzeret's Touch in the list.
I think the problem with Bone Picker is you need more sacrifice effects. The deck didn't even have Fatal Push to like kill an opponent's creature for budget reasons. So I think you need to up the ways to trigger Morbid to go Bone Picker. As far as Ornithopter, you could probably build an artifact-focused one with Ornithopter in Tezzeret's Touch, but generally Ornithopter just doesn't do enough on its own. It's so bad if you don't have favorable wins that I don't think it's generally worth it unless you're going to go full-on like Tezzeret's Touch, Affinity, favorable wins somehow.
All right. From Mint Black Lotus, what happened to cause the online price of Fatal Push to crash so hard?
They just gave everyone a bunch of them. It was... I don't remember what promo it was, but running alongside the the paper promo at F&M. There were promos on Magic Online. So I think if you played in so many events or something over the month, you just got like 2 or 4 fatal pushes. So that really upped the supply and drove down the price.
All right, a little cheeky. Any chance Zach Elsick does video content for Goldfish, streaming series or otherwise? A lot of people have been asking this, so we're getting settled in, but that's definitely something we're thinking about because everyone's asking for it. Streakist, Richard, please add rarity somewhere on the individual card pages, helpful for older cards. Okay, we should add gatherer data, so that's something people have been asking for. It'll help you figure out what the cards do when the images are too small as well, so good point. Warlord, I've been trying the Ghost Quarter tribal deck, and the new version is sweet. Just don't play Orb, instead Crucible and Sun Titan.
That makes sense. Mine like Orb probably isn't actually good enough, but Sun Titan is super sweet, as is Crucible, so I really want to build that deck with 8 Ghost Quarters. Strip mining people has to be one of the funnest things you can do in Modern, because no one expects to get strip mined out of the game in Modern.
Izzy the Lizard, what are your predictions for the next 3 sets after Rivals of Ixalan, Soup, Spaghetti, Meatballs?
Wait, don't we know that it's Dominaria? Or no, am I missing something?
Well, when are we changing to 1 set blocks?
Well, we're changing
next October.
I believe we're changing to whatever Wizards feels like blocks between 1 and 3
they have
sets,
blocks, and
depending
worlds
on.
may span more than 1 block if they decide. So,
but I think it's Dominaria. We know is coming up after Ixalan. Like that's been confirmed. After that, I don't know. I've heard Ravnica be thrown around as a good like 25th anniversary set. Another return to Ravnica because everyone loves Ravnica. So I don't know. Maybe we stick on Dominaria for like a couple of sets. I'm not really sure.
That would really be a great break. I mean, I love me some Ravnica, but I just don't think you can recapture the original Ravnica. The Return to Ravnica was such a letdown.
Really? I like Return to Ravnica. I thought
it was
relatively fine.
It was okay.
It wasn't the original, but
I think the limited was just really bad. Maybe that's like kind of why I just kind of had this like bad taste in my mouth from it. Like Dragon's Maze was horrible, but I guess it was all right. Yeah, it was okay.
I expect Lightning Bolt on Dominaria. That is my prediction.
That's not
well, I think we learned over the weekend that it's history themed, they said. So take that as you will, but I guess that's kind of the theme of Dominaria.
What does that even mean? It's history themed.
Lightning
Red's getting shocked.
It makes me think of Time Spiral Block, but
No Land Descato. Does Seth draw the lovely thumbnail art for each video himself, or is it someone else?
it's actually the exact opposite of that. Richard banned me from making thumbnails, and we got a real artist to do them.
Adriano draws all the thumbnails, and it is a treat to see what he comes up with every single time. The Fallen 3274, why have an F&M promo if you're going to use the same art for the tokens?
Thank you.
Is Watsy getting lazy?
Yes. They definitely shouldn't be the same image. Like, give me something.
Have all F&M promos been
where's
new
the Jace,
art? They have, right?
No, I think that pirate token, I just saw that F&M pirate token. It was like the same token,
I mean,
wasn't it?
previously when we had token F&M promos of cards, they're always new art.
Recently,
right?
yes. I think in the old F&M promos from like 15 years ago, they were sometimes just foil with like the swooshy symbol on them, but recently they've all been new art, yeah.
Recently, like the last couple of years.
Yeah, 5 years or something.
Last like 5 years or so. But yeah, like I remember, like Crosan War Chief, or is it War Chief? Something like that.
Like the Lightning Bolt is original.
Yeah, like Lightning Bolt. Like they all had that, like the DCI stamp, but it was the same image. Yeah, you got to do something. I mean, just having a foil token that you can get out of a pack for an F&M promo is like not cutting it. And where's the Jace token? Give us the Jace token.
Well, they said on coverage that if someone ultimated Jace, they just have more Jace cards to put on the battlefield. So there is no token. It would just be more Jaces. So you have to buy like 8 Jaces in case you actually ultimate.
That's a shame.
From Suntail Hawkins, Could you do an article about evaluating deck lists? I feel that it is especially relevant after Pirate Stompy.
I'm not exactly sure what that means as far as like evaluating whether a deck is actually a real deck or not. But
I think
maybe.
if you see a deck list, is it a good deck or not? Like, what can you look at before you actually play? Maybe.
That could be a cool article.
Next question, 5 down territory. If energy is going to be this prevalent going forward, is Solemnity a quality sideboard idea for white?
I think it's a tad too slow.
I think the problem is with the current energy decks is while energy is important, they can still just, if you just draw all solemnities, they still just beat you down with Glory Bringers and Rogue Refiners and Scarab Gods. So it doesn't feel like it's just game over. It's more like annoying for them. So I don't think it's a horrible option, but I don't think it's the answer that just shuts down an energy deck and makes it so you can't lose.
I do think people will start trying it, though. It does pretty much blank lightning, or burst lightning. What is it?
Harness Lightning.
Harness
Lightning, there we go. Burst lightning.
Servant of the Conduit.
The Cub. Like, those cards pretty much are useless.
Well, the problem is
And
the
all
Cub is
and their mana
already
base.
on the battlefield and grown by the time you get your Solemnity out.
True.
There were so many games at Worlds where someone just played turn 2 Cub and won the game off of, like, their 8.
Yeah.
Like, I think we saw a 6-6 or maybe even a 7-7 Cub. Like, it was just basically Tarmogoyf if you didn't have that Fatal Push ready to go.
Yeah.
Quilted Train. Has anyone on the cast checked out Eternal? Plays very close to Magic and does a lot right that you hope Arena will.
I'm hearing good things about that. I think I might try it out at one point, but I haven't yet. I do know about it. That's the one the pros made?
Yeah, Direwolf with LSV
Direwolf
and some
with
of the
LSV.
other big pros work there, yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't played it yet either, but I want to.
I do
I
too.
mean, honestly, Arena has killed all these other card games for me. Before the Arena announcement, I was just like, yeah, I want to try these card games out, see what they are, play some, play some Magic-like game with an actual 2017 interface. But now that I've seen Arena, like, I no longer care about these other cards. I just want Arena. And given that
Which is
the
a good
beta is in 1 month, hopefully I get in and I can just play Arena. So, Desi Hey, based on the rich history of the modern format, what would you pick as the creature equivalent of Mount Rushmore?
Ooh. How many phases are on Mount Rushmore?
4?
Is it 4? Okay.
Tarmogoyf?
Yep, I agree.
Nicodle? No?
Maybe.
I can't think.
Snapcaster
Snapcaster?
Snapcaster
Oh,
Mage has
Snapcaster's
to
so
be one.
recent, but I guess, okay.
I almost want to say Ravager.
I'll take it.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Wait, so Nicodle is
Glistener
worthy or
Elf.
not?
I don't know
Glistener
if
Elf.
I'd...
You
know
have
if
like
I'd pick
Glistener
Nicodle.
Elf, Splinter Twin, which is gone,
That's not a
a
creature.
Bogle.
Oh, Emrakul. It's got to be Emrakul.
No,
Really?
Emrakul's not really the face of modern,
No.
though, I don't think.
Oh,
I think it's Snapcaster, Tarmo,
Like
Glistener
Bob,
Elf.
but Bob's kind of gone away.
and Ravager.
I would have Emrakul on mine over. That would be my third, the Nicodle / Glistener Elf slot.
What about
I would have
Grizzlebrand?
Emrakul there. Otherwise, I think Emrakul's ahead of Grizzlebrand.
I think
I
Zoo
think it
is
does
so
everything
iconic.
Grizzle
You gotta
does
have Nicodle
and-
in there, or like Curd Ape or something. Like, you gotta have something that represents Zoo. It's been such a
mean-
big part of modern.
Goyf
I'm
kind
just-
of does, though,
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's
Doesn't
true,
Goyf
that's true.
fill that slot somewhat?
Let me
Oh,
see.
Goblin Guide, Goblin
Formats-
Guide.
Format
Goblin
staples.
Goblin
Top
Guide's a good one.
creatures. Here we go. Here's your Mount Rushmore. Snapcaster Mage, Thought-Knot Seer, Street Wraith, and Noble Hierarch.
Thought Not Seer, Death
Street Wraith is
Shadow.
great since Street Wraith is never an actual creature.
Oh, alright. Reality Smasher. There you go. Oh, Walking Ballista. That's a good one. it's probably time.
maybe
Narcomoeba.
birds. Birds might
Birds of
deserve,
Paradise.
Oh,
There we
birds.
go.
deserve a shout out.
Oh, I want someone to do this now. I want someone to draw
All-
Magic Mount
All
Rushmore.
4 Eldrazi. Literally all 4 3 Eldrazi and a Ballista. Thought-Knot Seer, Reality Smasher, Walking Ballista, and Matter Reshaper should be the Mount Rushmore.
That was a good question.
That was a really
is a
good
good
question.
one.
I like that.
Next question. V Guess S. Do you think energy is too strong of a mechanic and warrants drastic actions from WotC, or is there another solution?
Definitely too strong. And I don't think the hate cards are doing enough. But the thing is, I mean, they really kind of banned the real payoff card for energy. Like, it would be really weird to, just straight up ban, cup or something like that. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, yes, I agree that it's too strong. As far as action, I don't know what action you take. Rogue Refiner, maybe? But I don't think we're to the point where we need a banning yet.
No.
If we're still talking about this after Rivals of Ixalan, and that doesn't make Ixalan playable at all, and we still are at the same place, then maybe we can have this conversation. But I think it's way too early to talk about drastic action yet.
All right. That one, Okazaki, what's the one card you think shouldn't be played as much as it is in any format? What's an overrated card?
What is an overrated card? I really don't know. That's a great question. I have no idea.
Yeah, this is a really good question. And I don't have one that just pops into
Well,
my
really
head
quickly,
either.
top 10 modern cards overall. Path, Bolt, Visions,
Ooh.
maybe 7 Visions?
Path. I think Path is...
yeah.
I actually really hate Path to Exile. And a lot of people claim it as the reason to play white, and I actively try to not play Path to Exile. I'll play like a Condemn over Path to Exile. Like,
It's why you play Jund over Junk.
I just... That one land you give them hurts so much if it's turns, 1 to 3. It's only in the late game that it doesn't matter, and I'd pay 1 more mana. So with Fatal Push and Lightning Bolt, you don't have to lean as heavily on Path. So I think playing 4 Paths is wrong if you have access to the other colors to play the 1 mana removal spells.
Top card played in Modern. Yeah, Path never really did it for me either. I mean, it's like a necessary evil sometimes, but, oh man, does it suck.
T-Rocket, what Planeswalker would you like to see printed? If you were a Planeswalker, what colors abilities would you have? Are there any Planeswalkers that we know of that don't have a card? Besides, like, Urza?
I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not a
sure
lore expert. I think like the last real one that was around and people were really upset at that never had a card was like Kiora, whatever her name is. Koira.
Kiora.
But other than that, I can't remember anymore.
Alright, so my choice is Tybalt. Tybalt needs to come back as Tybalt of the Veil or something and be a modern staple to wash away his 2 mana self, because he has such a bad rap, but apparently he's fighting Sorin and stuff in the story and dual decks, so he's apparently a very strong planeswalker, but his 2 mana self didn't do him justice. So I want to see broken, super pushed, and forced, have to ban from standard Tybalt.
I kind of want to see Elspeth resurrected. I enjoyed every Elspeth Planeswalker card that I think was ever printed. I like them all, so I was pretty sad that she's apparently dead or something along those lines.
What colors will she be when she comes back?
Ooh, hopefully
Black,
white, blue, so we can draw cards with her.
That would make no sense.
Yeah.
That would be sweet, a black,
She's gonna have
white
to be Orzhov.
Walker version of Elspeth.
Make zombie soldier tokens.
I'm going with like the redemption route Richard went. I really wish Arlen Cord comes back at one point and it's not horrible. I really love that card. I was so high on it, it just literally went nowhere. Tybalt too. Tybalt deserves a redemption story.
Make 1 mana Tybalt.
Or make it just a 3 mana
just
Tybalt that's like
Deathrite
good. That's fine. Yeah.
It just has 1 -1 ability, enters with 1 loyalty ability, and it's lightning bolt text.
What if
Wait,
it was
I like the
1
redemption.
mana, it had 2 loyalty, and it had just a -1 lightning bolt?
That would probably be too good, right? Like, that would be modern
if you could
burn
attack
staple.
I guess if you're on the play, it's way too good.
Yeah, it's just like 6
Yeah, it's just
for
6
1.
for 1. Yeah, okay, never mind.
It's like a goblin guide.
That never happened.
All right, that's all our questions. Thank you, everyone, for sending in your questions. So remember, send them to at MTG Goldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail.
All right, folks, that is going to about do it for this week. It's about that time. Gentlemen, great cast. That is going to do it for this week. So this is going to be the MTG Goldfish crew signing out. We will see you all next time.